Slight delay. As you all know that before sessions like this starts, we've got to do some debriefings. And then I guess that you're all aware why today we're going to be sticking to the business of the day, whereby the chairperson of SAF, Central Energy Fund, will be clarifying the allegation that were reported in the past 2 weeks in the Sunday papers. And before I hand over to him, I just want to do some ground rules to say that can we all switch off our, put them on silent, because there'll be a live feed. We're going to be going live on 2 platforms, on eNCA and ANN7. And secondly, we also, just for, if you want to go to the restrooms, you'll go out of this door, you go past the reception that you passed when you arrived there, go to the next glass door, you turn left, and there are gents and ladies there. So I'll introduce the panel to yourselves. My name is Jackie Mashapu. I do communications for SAF Group of Companies. On my immediate left, I've got our chairperson, Mr. Luvo Makasi. He is going to be leading us with the session. And next to him is Mr. Brett Morrison. He's from the Botswana Attorneys, coming here to support the chair. And also on the extreme left, far left, we've got our CEO, acting CEO, Mr. Godfrey Moahi. Without much ado, I just want to hand over to the chair to take you through his statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I have been correctly introduced, my name is Luvo Makasi. I am the current chairperson of the Central Energy Fund and a director at a law firm, Botswana Benz Incorporated. And if I may be allowed, I would like to read from the statement, and then after we can deal with all the matters. At the outset, I thank you for your attendance and affording me this opportunity to provide you with my version of the events referred to in the article. I have convened this media briefing with the intention of responding to the serious allegations concerning both my professional and personal conduct, which were leveled against me in an article by one Mr. Masondo, which appeared in the City Press on Sunday, 19 February 2017. Please note that I will not address the content of the article, which appeared in the City Press on the 12th of February 2017 in relation to various allegations of impropriety or bribes on my part, as I believe that should be addressed through the appropriate law enforcement agencies, should there be any evidence of such. And as such, I would not then entertain any further peddling of misinformation or lies through the media. An article which was published without my comment and with respect, which contains at best certain inaccuracies and misrepresentations, and at worst exhibits intent to malign my reputation and credibility. It is evident that City Press did not do any less than willfully ignore simple facts that any credible journalist would have considered and simply verified before publishing an article which defames, criminalizes, and at best maligns my name and those of the institutions that I serve. I am a qualified attorney by profession and a director of Botswana Benz Inc., a law firm which provides professional legal services and advises a variety of clients, including both private and in the public sector. It is then in the business of legal practice to engage with clients and their personnel in order to obtain the understanding of the client's operations, and in so doing be equipped to provide an appropriate legal services. Simply put, that is the nature of the profession that I am involved in. Relationship with the minister, the department, and water agencies. My interactions with Minister Mokonyane in the Department of Water and Sanitation have always been of a professional nature and remain of that nature. I categorically and clearly state that this allegation of a romantic relationship, which has seen the minister relinquishing her executive authority to myself, is a false and a blatant lie intended to defame, malign, and discredit both myself and the Honorable Minister. I will reiterate that I have a professional relationship with the Department of Water and Sanitation and the Honorable Minister by virtue of my position as a lawyer. Botswana Benz has in the past, even before before Minister Mokonyane became Minister of Water Affairs, rendered various legal services to a number of water boards and other entities in the water space. But for purposes of this briefing, and in line with what has been widely circulated in the media about myself, I would like to deal with 3 water boards. I would like first to start to deal with the Amatola Water Board. Our law firm, like any other service provider, is a registered service provider in the Amatola Water Board. And what we have been asked to advise Amatola Water Board on, it's a particular project which related to toilets in Amatole District Municipality. We had numerous consultations with both Amatole District Municipality together with Amatola Water Board. And what we were asked to specifically advise on was how does Amatola Water assist Amatole District Municipality in basically completing the project. Our advice was very clear and simple. We said to Amatola Water, the original nature of the Amatola District project, or water sanitation project, was such that it was stopped in the middle of the project, and thus it's an incomplete project. What Amatola cannot do, they cannot simply intervene and take over the project. What we advised them was that they must appoint an independent consultant to do an assessment of the work already done, of the work that needs to be done, so that they can be able to build a business case for the funding of the project. And those who've got knowledge of the project would remember that initially it was funded through a loan from the DBSA. And part of the issues we raised with Amatola Water was to say that it will be impractical to cede the loan from DBSA to Amatola Water because the cession of the loan itself was done through a COCTA grant. On those bases, we recommended to Amatola that again appoint an independent engineering company to then assist you with the assessment, to assist you with building a business case, to then assist you with building up a procurement framework. Once you've done those steps, then we as lawyers will get involved. Contrary to the allegations that I had facilitated an appointment of a company called LTE, I am advised by Amatola Water that the company that has been appointed is actually Orecon Consulting Engineers and not LTE as it is widely circulated. On Lipele, and Lipele is the famous Giyani project. In relation to the Lipele Northern Water Board, Botswana Benz was approached by Pampane Mokone Inc., a firm of attorneys, to assist them in reviewing a number of legal issues that they were dealing with at Lipele Northern Water. I will pause here to point out that this is in accordance with the statement of the CEO of Lipele Northern Water contained in the article published by City Press. These issues, which included aspects of the Giyani projects related to a deviation from the Public Finance Management Act and the appointment of a contractor, LTE, and an out-and-out cession of a contract from LTE to 2 other subcontractors, Katu Civils and South Zambezi. Both Botswana Benz and Pambane attorneys determined that the initial deviation appeared to comply with the requirements of the PFMA, which allow the accounting officer to deviate from the normal procurement processes in circumstances where such processes will be impractical for reasons such as an emergency, which we were comfortable that they existed in that circumstances. The initial deviation was for a portion of the contract in a sum of about 96 million rands, for which Lipele had carried out the correct motivations and assessments. However, following the initial deviation, there was a substantial variation of scope. And that is where Botswana Benz began to have an issue as to the process that was followed. In this regard, Botswana Benz advised that it was unlawful for an appointed contractor to cede 100% of a contract to a third-party contractor, being Katu Civils and South Zambezi, under the guise of subcontracting. Additionally, Botswana Benz informed Lepelle Northern Water that there was a significant concern which related to the existence of common directors between South Zambezi, which was an engineering company, and Katu Civils, which was a construction company. And that further raised a further concern around the escalations in the contract price. This concern was supported by the existence of two letters, which reflected two different addresses for LTE and the payment certificates which ought to have been certified by LTE directors but were instead certified by a consultant from South Zambezi using the LTE letterhead, albeit without the consent or knowledge of the approvals of the directors of LTE. And that further raised the question of how the monies were spent in the project or whether the disbursements were done within the prescripts of the PFMA. In light of the above, through a legal opinion, which we can confirm that City Press had a copy of it and ignored, advised Lepelle Northern Water Board to cancel the contract between Lepelle Northern Water and LTE or Katu Civils in South Zambezi, that they immediately carry out an assessment of the work done to date to confirm if there's been value for money. 3, that they then proceed with the other phases of the project through an open tender process so that they can complete the remaining phases of the project. Accordingly, I can only assume that both Mr. Masondo and City Press, despite having seen the legal opinion, chose to publish an inaccurate version of the facts with the intention of depicting a particular set of circumstances which could be passed off as the truth in their publication. It is in this context that I wish to categorically deny any allegation contained in the article that I had traveled to Polokwane in 2016 to meet Mayor Thembi Nkadimeng. I did not at any time in 2016 travel to Polokwane. I was last in the Limpopo province in 2011 during the ANC 99th birthday celebration. Prior to that, I was in Polokwane in 2009 campaigning for my failed ambition to become the chairperson of the Youth League in the Western Cape. The allegation that in the middle of last year, I visited Polokwane Mayor Thembi Nkadimeng and allegedly issued instructions on who should get a stake in a 2.2 billion water project is patently false, and the same ought to have been simply verified by City Press and or its reliable sources, if the intent was not to discredit the name of Botswana Benz and myself. Meeting at Irene and the allegation that I gave instructions to departmental officials. I confirm that I attended the meeting at Irene, and together with me was Advocate Thierry Mutau, Senior Counsel, who is chairing the independent panel appointed by the Minister to conduct the due diligence exercise on the procurement processes of the department. The said meeting, what was discussed was the terms of reference of the panel and basically the progress thereto. My attendance at the meeting results from the fact that Advocate Mutau, to the State Attorney's Office, appointed a team of lawyers, which includes Vexman attorneys and Botswana Benz. For reasons known only to Mr. Masondo and City Press and other sources, these pertinent facts and the attendance of Advocate Mutau are deliberately omitted from the narration set out in the article, and I can only assume that the intention was to support the inaccurate and false perception of my involvement with the department and that the article intends to create. I categorically deny that I have ever issued any instruction to senior officials of the Department of Water and Sanitation, including the former accounting officer, the acting accounting officer, or the chief financial officer. I have never traveled to Iran or New York in my whole life. And I will gladly make my passport available to the media in order for them to ascertain for themselves that I have never been to Iran, I've never been to New York. Maybe in the future I will go for holiday, but up to the point that City Press wrote, I've never been to those countries, let alone being with Minister Mokonyane in any of those countries. Central Energy Fund, the role and the letter to the Ministry of Water and Sanitation. Part of our business is to do stakeholder management, and we have written and engaged with a number of departments over the last 1.5 months, which Minister Mokonyane happens to be one of them. and the list is endless. Mr. Muwachi will deal with those details. In conclusion, given the fact that I have provided in this briefing, it is self-evident that the allegations leveled against me in the article by Mr. Masondo and published by City Press are at best false and unfounded. That there is an intention to malign and discredit both myself and the department and the Minister of Water and Sanitation. Accordingly, I have considered and been advised to consider all remedies and options that are available to me in relation to this allegation. To that end, I can confirm that Botswana Benz has laid a formal complaint against Mr. Masondo and City Press with the Press Ombudsman in respect of their conduct. And if I deem necessary, I shall take further appropriate action to protect my integrity and those of the interests and the interest of those institutions that I serve under. I thank you for your time and your attendance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Now is that the time that I'm going to open the floor for questions. But what I want to do first is that due to some time constraints, I'm just going to give you a one round, but of, let's say, 10 questions. Try and give each one of you an opportunity to ask questions, and we'll take it from there. So please identify yourself, and you tell us from which platform, and so on. 1, 2, Colin, do you want to ask something? 3, yeah, and 4. You can go ahead, ma'am.
Genevieve Quintal from Business Day. The first time your name popped up in relation to the minister and his allegations wasn't in the City Press, but it was about 3 weeks ago by Julius Malema at a press briefing. You're saying that all these allegations are false and that there's a professional relationship with the department. And so where do you think these allegations are coming from? Where do you think this inquest is coming from? You say it's to discredit you and the minister, but what, in your mind, why? And why now? So,
okay. Can you take the second questions? We'll not group them. Yes, sir. Can you?
Hi, I'm Gogo from the Star newspaper. Mine is also a follow-up from what Genevieve just asked. Your name first popped up by Mr. Malema, but you haven't mentioned that you'll be taking appropriate action against him and others who've made what you say are defamatory comments. So my question would be, is it just the City Press that you'll be taking appropriate action against, or others as well who've made public statements that you say are defamatory?
Okay. Colin?
Okay, Colin Limawani from the SABC. Please give us clarity on what could have created a perception on, number one, your alleged romantic relationship with the minister. It may sound like it's a similar question to this one, but involvement with the minister, romantically speaking, if it's deemed to be professional. And then secondly, what would create an impression that you have power to direct and issue instructions regarding where tenders should go?
Okay, thanks. Mike, and then we'll pause.
Michael from eNCA. I'm interested to know what hat you're wearing today. Is it as director of a law firm, as chairman of the CEF? Because parts of the allegations regarding the Ben 10 allegation, it's against you in your personal capacity.
Yes.
So the question is, if it's not about your capacity as chairman of the CEF, why are we here at the CEF with the CEF branding? Well, what are we doing here?
Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you. I'll start with you, my sister, from the Business Day. Yes, there were statements which were made by Julius Malema, and those statements are part of what we're considering or getting legal advice on. The difference between Julius Malema and City Press is that we had asked City Press to give us an opportunity to respond to their questions, and they refused to give us that extension. So the facts are slightly different. Using a word which I regard as highly defamatory, and I don't want to respond to that question anymore because it's part of the advice which I've obtained, being called whatever I've been called. So I don't want to respond to that, but the specific answer is that depending on the legal advice, we may have to consider actions even against Mr. Malema. So I think that answers the first part.
Why do you think you're being targeted?
I'm coming to that. Because we've been advising on a number of other projects. The problem started when we started touching the Giyani project. For the whole year since August, nobody came in, and when Mr. Malema as well came in, it's when everybody got wind of our legal opinion, where we said that the Giyani project, the conduct is actually irregular, it must be cancelled. That is where the interest came in. Before that, no one was bothered. So I do suspect that what drew attention to Bokwana Benz was then the opinion that said the conduct is irregular, cancel it, go out on an open tender, do an assessment. I think that is where I became a person of interest, or my firm became a person of interest. I think that's my suspicion. It remains a suspicion. I think Kaya's question I've partly covered in relation to what are then that the allegation came first from Mr. Malema and the fact that what legal recourse. That I'm taking advice on because it does two things. One, to be called a ban something is not only defamatory, but it's actually degrading any sense of being that you have. So there I'm taking advice, and I would prefer not to further answer any questions relating to that issue. I think, Colin, I've covered your question, and it's a very simple answer. Our role as lawyers is to provide advice. At times, that advice may be comfortable to other people, and it may not be comfortable to other people. Unfortunately, on the Giyani project, we gave advice, which I believe that was not comfortable to too many people. And would I have changed it if I knew? I would not have changed it, because those are the facts. So, simple, I think my sin, or my firm's sin, was to provide an opinion on the Giyani project. And part of the issue that arises is the fact that all along, City Press itself has been running a particular narration on the project. Only after our opinion came to the fore, even the week before the last article, everything was fine on the project. Only when they get wind of our opinion, then they start now bringing us into the picture. I mean, the most ridiculous thing to be sent questions at 2 o'clock on Friday, right? You advise a journalist. I want to respond, but I'm a lawyer, so I can't just waive my rights to disclose the client's opinion, right? Refuses. 5 o'clock, he sends you supplementary questions. The only thing that does not change is the deadline for you to respond. 9 o'clock, you still advise him of the same predicament. He then says, no, I'm going ahead irrespective. Now, there are so many theories out there, but to answer your question narrowly, the point is, I suspect the opinion in the Giyani project became a source of concern, and I would leave it at that for now. To then answer the question from the gentleman of eNCA, there is one Luvo, and in the article, they then dragged the name of the Central Energy Fund. So the purpose of the press briefing today was to clarify what is in the allegations referred to in the City Press. And part of those allegations was that I had used my position at SEF to basically write some form of a letter to Minister Mokonyane outside of the SEF normal processes. Now, if you read that article in context, you can't then divorce Bokwana Benz from Luvo. You can't divorce the fact that I'm the chairman of the Central Energy Fund. You can't then also not divorce the fact that all these entities, directly or indirectly, I am the face of them. So it was in that context. But more from a SAF point of view, it became important because it is a public office that I'm occupying. And I would then not follow an argument that says it's not directly related. So that is the reason. If they did not mention SAF in the article, we'll probably be sitting in Protea Hotel having the same discussion. But SAF was dragged into the article.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take the last 6 questions. Who's next?
No one.
Is it clear? Going once, twice? Oh, yes, Kaya.
Kaya Gogo from the Star. Have you been in contact with Mr. Minister Mukunyane since the article was published?
No. No.
Follow-up question from Mike, and then we're going to close. Yes, over to you, Mike.
I'm sorry if you've covered this, but it's not clear in my mind. The journalist who wrote this, the publication that published this, the City Press, in whatever capacity, what does anybody stand to gain from tarnishing your name? What is the motive behind it?
I would love to answer that in the most honest way, but unfortunately I can't tell. What I know is I've given an opinion which said a particular conduct is irregular. What then everybody can probably do is to then say, what then triggered the interest of everyone to then start following up on the opinion. That can start with the person who first issued the statement about the issue, and then you work backwards. Because, as I've said, how I come to the picture, it's purely because of a legal opinion. Before that, no one was bothered whether I've existed or not existed. So probably to get to the motive will require some investigative journalism, which at the moment I'm not qualified to issue an opinion on.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. Fellow panelists. Sisi, can you just share with the colleagues the statement? Are there anyone who would want to do on-camera thing or standing?
Are you available for one-on-one?
That's fine, we're
Yeah,
here.
sure. So it's Colin and yourself, Mike. Okay, thank you very much, colleagues. Really appreciate your time. We'll see you next time. Okay. Chair? Are you going out? Are you going to come back?
I just need